Hey everyone, so on today's video we're going to be thinking about the things we watch, the music we listen to, video games we play, and the social media sites we use, maybe otherwise known as popular culture, and we're going to think how we as Christians can engage in those well and see the goodness of God in them too. Some of you might have complete freedom over what games you play and what songs you listen to and what films you watch. Maybe for some of you, your parents say, no, you can't watch that, or you can't join that social media site, etc. So as Christians, are we just allowed to watch everything, to use everything in popular culture, or should we avoid some things? Well, the Bible tells us that God created the world, and when he created the world, everything was good. In fact, after everything he made, he said it was good. Nothing he created wasn't good, and therefore nothing should be rejected straight away if it's been created by God. But also we know from the Bible that right after God had created the world, people began to turn away from him. And when people sinned against him, then also the whole world suffered. So we as people are no longer perfect and good, and neither is our world. We have all sorts of problems like natural disasters, and the things that people create, like our popular culture, are also not perfect. All of that means that it's far more difficult to decide what is good for us to engage with in popular culture and what is not. But I think there's a few things from the Bible that can help us decide and work that out. So while we shouldn't dismiss anything without reason, one of the things we have to do is listen to the authorities that are over us. One of the commandments in the Bible is honour your mother and father. And so easily for us, if they say, I don't want you watching that, or I don't want you using that social media site, it's our responsibility to honour them and respect what they say. And if you watched our video last week, you should know that we should also be submitting to our earthly authorities and honour them because God has put them in place. So if we see an age rating for a film, an 18, a 15 or a 12, or an age limit on a social media site, then again, as Christians, we should be submitting to and obeying our authorities. Our final guide is our consciences, because the Bible tells us that even though some things we use in popular culture, whether that's a certain film or a certain song, might not be sinful in themselves, that the way we use them might lead us to being sinful in our hearts. Maybe we use Instagram wrongly to look at images that we shouldn't. Or maybe we spend too long playing Fall Guys on a PlayStation, or watching too many episodes on Netflix that we don't read our Bible and pray, that we don't do our homework. But once we've actually worked out what maybe we shouldn't or should watch and play and listen to, how do we actually engage well in popular culture? Well, I think as Christians, to actively engage in popular culture, there are 5 really great questions that we can use every time we watch something, or listen to a certain song, or play a certain video game. So I'm going to go through all of those with you now, using the example of the film Shrek. So first of all, we need to ask, what is the story? Because you see, almost everything in popular culture is telling a story, and as people we love listening to and telling stories, and understand things through them. So in Shrek, the story is of an ogre who, to save his home, a swamp, saves a princess from a tower and a fire-breathing dragon along with his annoying talking donkey friend. And then they end up falling in love, and after true love's first kiss, she becomes an ogre too, and they get married and live happily ever after. So that is the story. Our second question is, what world am I in? Now this might seem a silly question, but actually, whenever we see anything in popular culture, whether it's a film or a video game, even social media sites, they're never quite like our real world. They're all changed in a way. And so in this world, it's a fairy tale world in Shrek, isn't it? With lots of fairy tale characters, from Pinocchio to Robin Hood to the big bad wolf. And like in a fairy tale, the princess is meant to meet the prince who will save them, and they'll live happily ever after. But in this there's a twist, because the prince is actually an ogre, who's often seen as ugly and undesirable. And this world is so imaginative that while you're watching the film, it seems like it's real. Then we should ask, what is good and true? Because God has been good to us, meaning that things in popular culture are not all bad. They still have fragments of his grace and his goodness in them. So in Shrek we see that actually characters aren't judged by their outward appearance. Shrek is an ogre, and yet still what is seen is that what is more important is what is on the inside. And we see great loyalty and friendship in Shrek as well. See Donkey, he might be annoying, but he sticks with Shrek the whole time. And there are many more things as well that we could say are good and beautiful in Shrek. And our fourth question is, what is not good? What is sinful? How does this lie about God's truth? And in Shrek we see that when you meet the one, your prince, your true love, Shrek tells us that that's the thing that's going to save you. That's the thing that's going to make everything else okay. But actually, we know in reality, relationships and love aren't perfect. Actually, they're really complicated. And they don't actually fulfill us in all the ways that we might expect. And finally, we can ask, how does the gospel or the Bible apply here? Now we see that Jesus doesn't choose anyone based on outward appearance, but he chooses people based on their hearts. And we know that anyone, whoever they are, whatever they look like, if they put their trust in him, he won't turn them away. And whereas here, a relationship between Fiona the princess and the perfect prince is the most important thing, with God we have a relationship which really does meet our deepest needs. Our needs to be loved, our needs to have our deepest needs met. And with Jesus we have a love that is everlasting, a relationship where Jesus gives us all of himself, all of his goodness, everything of him, and we are brought close to God and our sin is taken away. So there you have it. From looking at Shrek, we've gone through those 5 questions you can look at when you want to engage well with popular culture as a Christian. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to put the 5 questions in the description below. Why not try that out with your friends, and we'll see you in our next video.